has done a report talking about how it is that the human rights situation in South Africa has deteriorated so much over the past few years. And basically what they're saying is that there's been discrimination in South Africa, and the discrimination against white people with the BEE policies, the discrimination of white people when they are murdered, and the farm murders of white people, and the South African government not doing anything about it, is being treated as grounds to see South Africa as a country that does not respect human rights. When we started seeing those reports in Zimbabwe, we knew that Zimbabwe was about to go under sanctions, and I believe that the same thing is about to happen to South Africa. South Africa is about to go under sanctions, and they are creating a basis to ensure that South Africa can be put under US sanctions. Now, you might say to yourself, but who cares? Trump has been making such claims, so those claims don't mean anything. Unfortunately for South Africa is you have created a basis that enables the whole world to look at South Africa as a country that violates human rights or allows the violation of human rights. Let me explain. Operation Dudula has been operating and denying foreigners, women, children, and innocent civilians treatment or health care in the hospitals of South Africa with impunity. They have filmed themselves doing this. They have been able to create profiles and personas. And this is being done on the back of Gayton McKenzie, a minister in the South African government, saying that he would switch off life support for foreigners in hospitals. So these crimes are being perpetuated with incitement of a minister in the government of South Africa, and the people who are perpetuating these crimes, these violations of human rights, or what we might even call crimes against humanity, are being allowed to do that, and they're not being arrested, and the government of South Africa is not protecting the minorities who are being victimized by these people that are denying these people of healthcare. This is very material and important, because don't forget that the reason why South Africa went against Israel in the International Court of Justice is that they were saying that Israel is perpetuating a genocide by denying civilians healthcare, food, and basic services. So the South African government is being deemed to be allowing the same thing to be done to African foreigners. In 2019, 2021, we saw over 200 Zimbabwean truck drivers being murdered in South Africa, and not a single person has been arrested for those crimes. Simba Chitando then went to the International Criminal Court, and he instituted a report and opened a case. The International Criminal Court said it will continue to monitor the situation in South Africa and gather more intelligence before they decide if they're going to open a case. In 2007, during Thabo Mbeki and Jacob Zuma's fight for power, there was xenophobia in South Africa, and that xenophobia saw Zimbabweans and other nationalities being burnt alive in South Africa and being killed. People were never arrested for those crimes. So, the South African government is deemed to be complicit with these crimes because they do not want to take action against them, and they do not want to protect the minorities that are being victimized, being killed, and whose human rights are being abused. What this does is it opens a door to make the United States report legitimate, and to make Donald Trump's claims of South Africa violating human rights legitimate, because they are actually legitimate claims of South Africa allowing crimes against humanity to be perpetuated against minorities and against Africans in South Africa. They see the faces of the criminals, people like Victoria, the gentleman who was throwing out the Congolese gentleman from a hospital. That's a crime against humanity. It was perpetuated in front of camera. Victoria has not been arrested. Gayton McKenzie is a minister after saying that he would switch off the life support. He is the one who incited the crimes against humanity that are happening, and he was made a minister and he was never arrested, and the people that are perpetuating these crimes are not being arrested. Those are grounds for the United States and Israel, who have become very powerful enemies of South Africa, to take South Africa to the International Criminal Court, and more importantly, to also take them to the International Court of Justice or the United Nations, to ask for the United Nations to institute sanctions on South Africa for perpetuating crimes against humanity. For this to happen, there would need to be a vote in the UN Human Rights Council to say whether South Africa is perpetuating crimes against humanity and whether an investigation should happen. And the people that need to vote are the nations of this world that sit on that committee. Majority of them will be African and Asian. South Africa has not covered itself in glory when it comes to Africans and Asians, when they've allowed Pakistanis and other Africans, particularly those who defended and defeated apartheid, to be persecuted in South Africa. So when a vote comes in the UN Human Rights Council, you must be rest assured that many countries will not vote with South Africa, particularly after South Africa voted for the removal of Muammar Gaddafi under Jacob Zuma. Additionally, there might then have to be a UN vote before it goes to the Security Council. Many of the nations that are sitting on the UN, African countries and Asian countries, and they're likely to vote against South Africa. The problem with the ANC is that it has sat and watched these xenophobia attacks happen time and again, because many people suggest that the ANC itself is the funder of that xenophobia, or they are complicit with that xenophobia. Allegations have been made that senior ANC officials are involved in funding Dudula and Put South Africa First. Hence, they've been allowed to continue without being hindered and without being arrested, without the intelligence of South Africa being involved, because it is an operation that is supported by the government of South Africa and the ANC. But I want to warn you, my ANC counterparts, you took on Israel, you took on the United States. Those are very powerful nations. And if they decide to use multilateral institutions, you're going to need the support of Asians and Africans for a vote in your favor. You're going to need Russia to veto, China to veto, but you keep playing the cards that are anti-Asian, anti-BRICS, and anti-African. Now the question is, who is going to stand with you when those Western monsters start coming after you? Have you ever wondered why, when Libya was attacked, no single North African country raised their hand to assist Libya? It is because they decided to shit on their neighbors, that when they got attacked, no one cared about them. When Iraq was attacked, why is it that their neighbors didn't care, and in fact they allowed the United States to put their bases in their countries? It is because Iraq decided to embroil itself in the various divisions of Islam that eventually led to its isolation when the time came for other countries to stand.
This is the current situation we are having in our country. Isusu as news media, tiripopa kutsvagira nyaya. Nouya nenyaya semaona atinenge tadzita. Hatina chatinowedzera kana kutapudza. Thank you so much for watching our video. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Comment, like and share. And for that, I'm signing out.